In this video I'm going to review Barehead by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Hello AOS fans, Robin here for the second attempt at my Barehead video because the first one corrupted. I've had to come back out into the freezing cold garage and record a second video for Barehead by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I did think, shall I just not bother? I've written a geek down review, which should be in the comments below, but I just won't bother. But this is such a good book, and I really did want to make good on my resolution to make more book videos. So here I am, Adrian Tchaikovsky's Barehead. It's a really great book that I thoroughly recommend you read. I should say that it's actually a sequel novel to a novel called Dogs of War, which is a standalone, both standalone novels, and you can read them independently of each other. But this one, I think, builds upon the world building in the first one, which I haven't read, so I don't know. But I feel like this one kind of builds on that. So possibly you might want to go and read Dogs of War first. I haven't read it. I did read this. I really enjoyed it. So it's not essential that you read Dogs of War first, but you might want to. Just that's a personal choice, really, I guess. So this book is set on Mars, a kind of classic science fiction setting. Many books are set there, and it's kind of like a terraforming Mars kind of thing. There's the Earth is still existing, and the missions have been sent to Mars, and they're basically building this colony out there. I should say about Earth, possibly this is from Dogs of War. There are humans. But there are also kind of sentient, intelligent species of animal. So there are bears and dogs and stoats and various lizard type things that are called dragons. They exist in the novel, and they are intelligent. They've been kind of boosted. They're enhanced. There are also what they call distributed intelligences in the novel, which are kind of humans, I think, but they have kind of computer implants, and they all talk each other across a hive mind. All humans seem to be augmented in some way, or can be more augmented in some way. The lead character in Barehead is called Jimmy, and he exists on Mars, and he's been augmented both biologically and technologically. So he's been given he can better process the thin oxygen levels that are in the Mars colony. They have got multiple eyelids to stop the dust from Mars getting into there. But he's also got enhanced technology inside his brain. He's actually got storage in his brain for digital stuff, which is quite significant in the novel, because one of the other main characters in the book is a bear called Honey. We'll come on to that in a second. So Jimmy has this storage in his brain, which is significant, which we'll come on to in a second. Jimmy himself is a maintenance worker. There's not much to do on Mars. Life there is pretty boring. So he is a kind of, I would almost say, like not quite a stereotypical, but a fairly typical science fiction waster. There's not much to do with his life. Mars life is fairly boring. So he does turn to drugs and just generally gets into scrapes. And one of the things he has to do in order to earn money for his drugs is sell this storage space he's got in his brain, which is illegal. He's not meant to do it, but he can sell his storage for people who want to store digital information that they want to keep secret, or maybe they just want one of his colleagues stores old movies in there so that she can watch them at any time. And he sells out the space to people with dubious intent who want to store some digital information, which is how he ends up with Honey the Bear uploaded into his brain. Now, Honey the Bear exists on Earth. For some reason, her consciousness has been uploaded into Jimmy. Now, we don't know why that is at the beginning, and the first part of the novel is about Honey the Bear inside Jimmy's brain, trying to piece together how she got there. On Earth, she's clearly a supremely intelligent bear, an advocate for civil rights for the kind of intelligent species, because as you can imagine, there's some tension between humans and the different species, what sort of rights they should have, and whether they should be free to do what they want. Obviously, the bears and the dogs in particular are very powerful, very strong, and can make a right mess of a human. So there's kind of a whole kind of civil rights issue there, which is really key to the novel. Generally, and so she's in Jimmy's brain and talking to him and trying to work out what she's doing there. She has some involvement with this kind of Trump-like politician on Earth who is really, truly terrifying. And that's the kind of only time we really see Earth is when Honey's looking through there. We're looking at this Trump-like politician. And again, this book is a fantastic analysis of kind of power and how people stay in power, and how I think it's probably the best analysis. It's quite satirical, but I think it's the best analysis I've seen of how Trump managed to manipulate his way to the presidency of the US, and why people fell for it. So it kind of really skewers how people at the top, I guess generally white people, skew the system so that it works in their favour, and just how they kind of manipulate and use all their resources to stay top of the heap, and that's a really key kind of key element of the book. So it's quite amusing and satirical at the same time, which is really fun. But I have to say, Adrian Tchaikovsky's analysis of the Trump phenomenon is absolutely spot on, I think. So the book itself is really great. So you've got this fascinating story unfolding of why Honey's in there and what she's here to do, and then you've got the civil rights aspects, which is really interesting. So you've got the freedom. There's clear real world comparisons with the plight of the bears and the dogs and all the other creatures that have been raised. There's talking of collaring them so they can't do what they want to do, and it's clearly informed by modern day politics and social issues that are global now. It's a testament to Adrian Tchaikovsky's skill as a writer. He really does handle these social issues really well. Doors of Eden, the last novel of his that I wrote, the last novel of his that I read, is brilliant, and he handles it really well here. The story is great. It's not just like a preachy civil rights type novel. The story of this is really good. Surprises unfold. The characters are excellent. I mean, Honey's a brilliant character. Jimmy's a really well realised character, and having the one inside the head of the other is really clever. You get all sorts of interactions and introspection that you couldn't possibly have got if they were separate entities, so that's really clever. But then the kind of criminal underworld on Mars that kind of exists around Jimmy, that he's kind of on the periphery of, that's all there. The characters from that are really good. Builds it up into a really tight, suspenseful story, absolutely chock full of ideas, which makes the novel just a joy to read. And I'd really love to see more. I've ordered Dogs of War. It should be arriving any day now. Can't wait to read that. I'd love to see more novels set in this world. This one does stand alone. I don't know whether any of the characters will return in future novels. I don't know whether Adrian Tchaikovsky has any plans to make future novels in this world, but I'd love to see them because the world building is so solid, and his kind of vision of Mars, slightly dystopian but probably reasonably realistic vision of Mars, is really very clever. So I would thoroughly recommend that you do pick up Barehead. I mean, it's only the beginning of the year, but this is a good chance of being one of my favourite reads of the year. It's really entertaining. I've got another book of his on the way, Dogs of War, and a one called Salvation Fire. I think it's called, a fantasy novel, which I'm really looking forward to reading. So Adrian Tchaikovsky has a chance of becoming one of my staple authors of 2021. I'm going to read other things too, but at the moment I'm really impressed by his writing. It's kind of new to me. I have only read one of his other books before, and I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed this one even more. It was about half the size. I'm not massively keen on brick novels these days. Never seem to have the time to get through them. But I really enjoyed that. If you've read Adrian Tchaikovsky, do recommend what else I should read. I know he's got the Arthur C. Clarke winning one. I haven't read that yet. If you've got any other Mars novels, obviously there's some classics, The Martian, Andy Weir's kind of modern classic, and there's various, I think Robert Heinlein, various classic Mars novels. Do let me know what I should read or which ones you've enjoyed. Do pop it in the comments below. We do mainly gaming content on Age of Sigmar. I am hoping to up the book content, so if you've arrived through the book review side of things and enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe. We'll say you will have to put up with some gaming stuff, but hopefully the book reviews will come thick and fast. I'm going to cough in a minute, so I'm going to say goodbye. My name's Robin, and happy reading, and we'll see you soon.